Hey Wolfpack, Angela Wolf here, and what's on your sewing table today? That's all I gotta know. I'm so happy to be here with you. No traveling this Wednesday. Traveling starts again on Friday, but that's for Easter to hang out with family. So how are you all? It's so nice to see you. I was watching all of your comments roll in way before we were live, and then I was trying to take a couple photos of some of my favorite outfits for spring. So first of all, what am I wearing? I went through my stash of clothes that were downstairs. It was in a bin, things that I made that I kind of liked, kind of didn't like, and it's freezing outside. So I pulled this out. This is the Delilah with no seams. So it's like one big seam. You know what? This would really make a great pair of pajamas. For sure. But they're really comfy. And this is what made me think of it. The big cuff. That's what I'm going to embroider, because I think I'm going to make another one of these, but maybe not quite so big. I could put two of me in here. All right, come on in, say hi. Today we're talking about embroidery on knits. I'll give you some tips and I'll take your questions. So it is so great to see you all. I saw a lot of you yesterday on Fashion Sewing Club, which was a great show. We got a lot of inspiration going on. All right. It looks like YouTube's working. Facebook, maybe later. I don't know. Facebook is always like the later one to have everybody show up. I know it's working because I was on there. All right. So I have a few samples for you. And this is going to be kind of fun because I know some of you have seen these clothes before. I'm going through, if I can get my hair out of my earring, I'm going through some of my stash. So this one came up. Do you remember this? The lacy? We've made so many clothes through the years that, I mean, some of them I've given away. Some of them I haven't finished. This one is still not hemmed. That's so bad. So bad. Whoop. So I'm tripping over my cameras. Remember this one? This is one of my favorite summer tops. I love this. So, you know I love embroidering tool to make lace. And this would be a perfect option for that. Perfect. So this is one of my summer tops. Pulled this out of the stash. I'm kind of going through and thinking, okay, if I were going to embroider something, what would I embroider? Well, on here, you've got a lot of opportunities. These little things here, you could also color block something. The back. All right, I'm just going to pop in, make sure that the mics are working before I go any further, now that you're all here. Yeah. Yeah, Dee, I like big to sleep in too. It's kind of like, this is long enough. I threw it on with jeans today, but it's long enough. It could be like a little shirt dress. I think when I first made it, I wore it with leggings. Sharon, we missed you yesterday on Fashion Sewing Club. Okay, so where else could you embroider? Give me some ideas of your own outfits, and I'll give you some more inspiration on this. So again, the back, maybe at the hem line if it's a solid color. Okay, this was one. Do you all remember this? Yeah, I see somebody asking. I'm really live today. I'm not in an airplane answering your questions. I'm here. So this was the ruche tee, hand-dyed many years ago. It's still one of my favorite tops. You know what's great is when you use a really good quality fabric. This is a rayon knit. When you use a good quality fabric, they last forever. Well, not really, because some of mine have stains and little holes from pins, but this top I made, it just has a serged edge. It was very simple, easy, and the collar, this is why I'm bringing this out. Look at the collar. It's the big, tall collar. Yeah, the big one. And that would be a great spot for embroidery. You just have to be careful how you angle it. And I'll give you some ideas for that too. This top, I believe, was in my hand-dyed class that I have on Pattern Review if you want to learn how to dye fabrics. But yep, another favorite. I have to pull this purple back out. It's one of my favorite colors. And so I'm looking at this. You're probably thinking, how did you get the collar to match everything so well with the hand dyeing? Because I made the top first and then I dyed it. A little tip there. So for the embroidery, you have an option. You can have your pattern piece out and then embroider, or take it, and I like to embroider a bigger piece with an idea of where my embroidery is going to go. I'll show you. Okay, here's another one. This is my fall. I would say it's more of a fall shirt or spring because it has the little peepholes in the arm. And this, again, I did the hand dyeing on it, but you could do embroidery on this. So here's the collar. Love this collar. It's very tall. It crosses over in the front, so when you wear it, it's kind of like this. But again, I took the collar, hand dyed the collar separately than everything else. Well, not separately, because you can see it's attached here. But I only dyed the top part, and I dyed the bottom of the cuff and the bottom of the hem. So this is another idea for embroidery that you can pick just little areas like the hemline, or again, the edge of a sleeve. That's super easy to do. And then, of course, the collar. Those are easy things because if you embroider, well, now I'm really getting into the hand dyeing now that I'm watching. I'm looking at all these going, ooh, I think I could dye a couple more of these. When you're looking at these, you just try to think of where could I add a little embellishment for this? Where would be a good embellishment and doesn't take a lot of fabric in case you screw up, especially if you're just getting started. Now, hopefully you won't screw up. I love the brown one too, Dee. All right, there's more. What else do I have down here? Okay, now I have some patterns for you. So, hey, Lisa. The collar area, all of these little different sections, the cuff, that's a big, easy one. You want to know why the cuff's so great to embroider on? Because you have 2 layers of fabric. So if you decide to use a stabilizer that doesn't wash away, or you don't want to see the back of the threads, this works out great. Yeah. Thanks, Dee. Esther wants to know, what is ice dyeing? Ice dyeing, well, there's more to it than that, but the quick version is your fabric is in one of my Pyrex dishes. You probably shouldn't be using those, but since I don't use mine in the kitchen, they work great for dyeing. You place your fabric and you put ice on your fabric and then you put the dye on top. That's usually how it goes. And then what happens is the dye kind of goes through the ice and melts through to the garment. And it makes a real, oh gosh, what's the word? Pam, if you're here, you'll know it because she just did a class. I think she just took a class on this. Like an ombre look. It's really cool. Yeah. There are many different ways to dye your fabrics or your garments. I think I'm going to have to do that a lot. It's pretty on trend right now. And I'm thinking of doing some hand dyeing and then finding the threads to match and embroidering over it. So it's almost like not sublimation printing on the fabric, but hand dyeing it and then adding embroidery of the same colors. There's so much you can do nowadays. Now for the embroidery, I would probably hand dye the fabric, then embroider in that order. But you could also go the other way, embroider it first. Hey, Lisa. Yeah, there's a replay for Fashion Sewing Club. Go into the Fashion Sewing Club website, scroll down. I think yesterday was episode 1078, and I put a link and a password. It's uploading right now because you have to download it and then upload it. But there's a link and a password that you can watch it right now. So just pop in there and look for 1078. Oh, Celeste, you fell in love in the 60s. Well, I fell in love with it in the 2000s. Well, actually, I think it was more the 90s, late 90s. The reverse dye with bleach was this one. A reverse dye with bleach. You know, I can't remember. I don't think so. It could have been a reverse dye, but I don't think it was a reverse dye with bleach. Now I have to go watch the class myself so I can remember. I have a couple of those, though. You know my bleach outfit, the pink one in the back? I'll take you over there later and show you in case you forgot that one. That's a good one. Yeah, tie-dye is an accent. And I agree, the cuff idea just gives you a lot of options for embellishing. So let's head over to the table and I'm going to sketch out a few things and give you some ideas. Sound good? And be sure to drop your questions in. It's so nice to see you all. And if you're new here on YouTube, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a live show. And if you are on Facebook, be sure to like and follow. All right, so let's head over here. Okay, so I have some fabric here. It's a sweater knit. This is that sweater knit that I had in like, oh gosh, so many colors. They all sold out. I don't think there's any of these colors left. I'll check in case you're looking, but it's a very soft sweater. It's great for spring and fall or a cool summer night. I want to talk about a few different fabrics because the ones I just showed you over there, the samples, those are rayon. This is a ribbed. This is a sweater knit. So between all of these, you're going to need a little different way to plan your embroidery. So we're off of the dyeing subject now. I'm not dyeing, not today. We are going to talk about embroidery. So when you have something like this with the rib knit, you have to take into consideration how's your pattern going to be cut out. So I moved this around just a little bit. You can see the grain line. Well, this sweater knit, actually, you can see all the ribbed lines going this way, and that's the stretch. So the way you would cut your fabric out would be this way. That would be my cuff. Or this would be the center front, center back, going this way. You want to check the stretch. And also, something like this that's a little nubbier, you have to be really careful what you're going to embroider on. What's your design going to look like? Because if you have something that's just single stitches in a lot of places, it's going to get lost in this fabric. So this fabric that's a little bit fluffier, I would say, you're going to want a little more dense design. Something like this rib knit, the same thing. Otherwise, you're going to lose stitches in those ribbing. For the rayon knit that I showed you, then you don't need, then it really doesn't matter. So here's another one. This is an ITY knit. Beautiful. See how soft and sleek that is? Well, you're going to have to trust me on the softness because you can't touch it, but it's very shiny, very sleek. You can embroider just about anything on that because it's not going to get lost in the fabric. All right, so what about stabilizer? So I'm going to take you to a different camera, to my bigger table. Let's go over here. Okay. One of my favorite stabilizers for working on knits, I have to double check. It's Sticky Back Wash Away. And I have to pull up the corner. Hopefully I was smart and put my label on it. Yeah, so it sticks, it's sticky, and this is paper that pulls away. And then this part here will wash away. But you want to check and make sure, I always put my label in here, adhesive sew and wash. That's what I'm using. I think I might have sold out of this online. I have to check. I'm going to order some more because it's my favorite, adhesive sew and wash. So I like these big rolls because then I can put this in the big hoop. I'm taking all the fabric with me. I'm working on another project. So this works great because this is so big. I'm losing my labels. Oh my goodness gracious. But see how this will fit in these nice new big hoops. So this is the Avenir's hoop. And full disclosure, I'm a Brother brand ambassador. Since I'm not on a Brother show, you don't know that. And this works great. The other favorite, I love this fusible no-show. And that's only if I have an area that I'm not going to see the back. So maybe for these cuffs that would work. You just have to be really careful if you're using something like that, where is the design going? Because if you're using a stretch, if this was super fitted like this, I would need to make sure that I'm using a wash away. So when I put my arm in and out, I can get my arm in and out of the cuff. Otherwise, what happens is if you have too much embroidery and this is a stretch and it's intended to stretch to get your arm in, You can't get your arm in. Does that make sense? So fusible no-show is another one. And then I have one more over here. Where did it go? I'll have to, oh, here it is. Is this it? Until I've been walking all over my studio today. Yeah, sew and wash. These, I do still have a few more of these. These come in this nice case, but they're not selling that case anymore. So if you get one of those, make sure you keep these because it's a great way to store your stabilizer. Now this one's a little smaller, so this one really won't fit in this larger hoop. But one little trick for you, sometimes I'll use 505 spray or a basting stitch or tape to stick these together if I need to use this in a big hoop. Usually I use this in a smaller hoop. And this is very similar to the sticky back wash away, except this doesn't have any sticky on it. Now there is a workaround on this though, and that's where I use my, you can get this, this one's really old. No, it's not. This is a newer one. I got this from Hobby Lobby. 505 temporary adhesive. And I spray this just a little bit and then your fabric will stick right to it. The key is when you're embroidering on knits, I keep pointing to my arm, you don't want the fabric to stretch when you're embroidering. Not at all, except, and I want to see how many people are here from one of my last speaking events. Do you know the exception of the rule for when you want to stretch your fabric for embroidery? And it's not jeans. This does feel like pajamas. We're going to call this pajama day. Can you guess what it is? Oh yeah, you'll get it. I'll wait for 1 second to see if you can reply. What is the one area that you would want to make sure that you stretch your fabric? Okay, I'll give you a hint. Key West Sailfish Tournament. Does that hint work? Okay, remember? Let me see if anybody has it before I tell. Oh, peg's close, around the neckline. Only if it's a tight neckline that you have to like squeeze your neck into. Neck. Nope, that's not what I'm referring to. All right, let me see if I have a piece of fabric like this. I usually always have one of these around. You know those tank tops that we call the wife beaters? Where did that even get the name? I don't know. The little white t-shirts that are like this big and then they stretch like this big to put them on. Lisa's like, I have no idea. Yep, you got it, Helen, for the tatas. So I will never forget this tank top. And I was trying to find it before this show because I've been talking about it for like the last 3 weeks while I was touring Florida. The shirt's like this big. It's a rib knit. And when you stretch it, it goes this big or even bigger sometimes. But they're literally like this big. And they embroidered, I don't remember what year the Key West tournament was, that they always had guys' shirts and I wanted a girl's shirt. I'm like, don't you have any girls' tank tops or something cute? So the following year they were super excited and they're like, here's a tank top. And it was like this big and they put a patch on it. Key West World Sailfish Tournament. So if the shirt was this big and the patch was this big and then you put the shirt on and it goes out to here, you know what happened. It was not very pretty. I wore it though. I wore it with pride. I had to wear a bathing suit top on it. So, but yes, so that is the one time or one of the times that you would want to stretch your fabric. If you know your fabric, you pull your fabric out this wide and you know when you put it on it's going to be this big, then you need to stretch it this big before you embroider on it. That's a whole nother day and a whole nother lesson. Hey, Susan, we missed you. Lisa, you're hilarious. Okay, so let's go back over here and I want to show you some designs to choose from. All right, now I'm using the Avenir. You can use, this is the Brother Avenir. It doesn't matter what embroidery machine you're using. It's going to be kind of the same process here. So when you go in your embroidery side, I'm just going to go through a couple designs and show you what could work and what absolutely would not work. So these are kind of loose. They're kind of quilt designs, actually. That's what they're called. Not kind of, they are. But look at some of these. I never used to look at this for embroidery on garments, but as I clicked a few of these, look at how loose they are. I think these ones are thread work, maybe. Let's see. Oh my goodness. That was not even intentional. I haven't even seen this design yet, but what is in there? Maxine, that's definitely going on one of my, I don't think on my clothes, but I got to put that on something. So this, see how loose? It doesn't have a lot of density. Even when I click here, I cannot believe I picked one with the squirrel. Who would have ever known? When I choose this design, if I click edit, let's see, let's go into the embroidery. I just want to see how many stitches are on here. 9 minutes, 7,915 stitches. That's not a lot of stitches. And that would be great for a knit. I think I'm going to have to put that squirrel somewhere. I don't know where yet. Okay, let me go back. I'm going to click return. Let's get rid of the squirrel. Back into embroidery. So a lot of these looser quilt designs would be great. Now, I want you to think outside the box here. And your machine might have different designs. You can purchase different designs, but check this one out. It's 15.74 by 10.47. I'm just going to click the information button just to see a little more. Look at how beautiful that is. It's not dense, but it's a design that would complement a solid fabric or a hand-dyed fabric. If you just think of this design for a minute, I'm going to do a dark background just to see what that looks like. There we go. 5,500 stitches or so, 7 minutes. Now let's go back and I want to show you something on the fabric just to make you think outside the box. Isn't that usually the goal here? Oh, I just saw Chris's comment. Yes, that'd be cute on the hip of joggers. It sure would. But now think of this, going down your sleeve. Yeah. Filling up that whole collar with that. So the rest of the garment maybe doesn't have that, but the collar has it. You could easily embellish a sleeve with that because, again, let's take one more look at the design before I go to the table. I'm already squirreling on you. Notice there's a lot of waves. There's nothing solid that would hold your fabric. So if you had this embroidered and you needed to stretch a little bit, it wouldn't matter because these beautiful, I know there's a name for these, someone help me out, but we'll just call them floral. Because it's not a defined line, they would just stretch. They'd be a little longer and skinnier or something like that. So they would be distorted maybe a little bit if you had it on a super tight knit, but a knit like this, it would be totally fine. And especially a collar. All right, back to the table. Oops, wrong one. Feathers, thanks, Peg. I knew it was something like that. Oh, gosh. Yeah, you can tell it's a Wednesday, right? Mm-hmm. Very fun. I think they're great. Sketch designs, that's a good way to put it. Very much. So we know they're feathers. Thank you. That's what I love the wolf pack for. All right, I'm taking you back over. Don't fall asleep on me. Okay. I'm dropping papers all over. I should have you do like a little I Spy in the studio on my way over. I want to talk about the needles. So the Schmetz needles. By the way, I was talking to Rhonda, and some of you had said that the app is not, they weren't able to open the app. Make sure you go to their website. There's something different about the app now, so if you go to Schmetz Needles, you can download the app there. But here, I was going through this the other day, just looking at some of the, see if there's any needles I'm missing, which of course there's not. But a lot of people use embroidery needles for embroidery. Well, when you're embroidering on knits, if you end up having any skip stitches, I prefer to use the stretch needle, stretch or microtech. So start with your embroidery needle, but then if you have skip stitches, then think about it. Try something else, especially if you're using a polyester ITY knit. Those tend to have skip stitches if you don't use a microtech or a stretch needle. So think about your needle. Thread, I just use regular embroidery thread. I haven't had any problems with the polyester thread. Okay, I don't know why I have the embroidery hoop here, maybe just because I need to put these back on it. It's just hanging out here. All right, I'll move it. So if I have my sleeve pattern and I say, you know what, I think I want to do embroidery just at the cuff, I will chalk in my pattern. I might not need the whole thing, but if I know that my cuff needs to be this wide, I will make sure I have little markings. You could even use thread tacks if you need to. And then I know that my embroidery will be in this area. So sometimes I will cut out my entire sleeve first, and then I can place it exactly. Other times, if I know I can see my chalk mark clearly, like the ITY knit, I could do that. Sweater knit, I might have to cut it. But you want to give yourself a guide. Don't just add embroidery wherever, because either you're going to waste time or you're going to waste fabric, or it's going to end up where you don't want it to go. So I will add embroidery here maybe. I love adding embroidery here. And when I know where my sleeve is, or I know where the line is for my sleeve, so either chalking it on your fabric or cutting out your sleeve first, then I can place my embroidery down wherever I want it to go. Now, if you cut your sleeve out first, then you have to use the sticky back wash away or some form of sticky back, because you're not going to have room to hoop this whole piece. And 99.9% of the time, I float my fabric when I'm using something with a knit. Floating means that I add the stabilizer to the hoop first and then either pull back the paper, the sticky back, to put my fabric on or my pattern like this on, or use the 505 spray. I very rarely will hoop unless that 1%, I'll show you. Let me bring this back. The 1% of the time that I do this, see if I can grab my stabilizer here. This is my wash away. And see, this is even a little too small for this stabilizer, but I'll just use it for now. That's my wash away with no sticky on it at all. Sometimes I'm giving you kind of a few different options for you, but sometimes I will spray that with a little 505 just to make sure that my fabric is laying there. But for this sweater knit, because it's fuzzy, it's not going to show any markings for hooping. I lay it down, and then this is a magnetic hoop. See how it just captures that? And I'm not stretching the fabric at all. Oh, almost cut my finger there. And sometimes it takes me a couple times to do this hooping too. Let's go over here. And you always want to leave an opening in the corner if you're using this hoop. This is Brother's hoop, because you have to get this into your machine. Notice I'm not stretching at all. And then I'll double check if I see, you know what, this looks a little off here. Like it got skewed a little bit. I will take these off and do it again. Sometimes I find it beneficial to start at one end and go down. Other times I'll start at one end and then start down here and then go back. It really depends on your fabric, how your fabric decides to behave that day too. Okay. So if I decided to do this entire hooping right here, then I would take my pattern, and I'm using a mini pattern just so you guys can see this, okay? But you would use a big pattern. Pretend this is a big pattern. I would lay this down and say, okay, I wanted to hoop this entire piece of sweater because it's really flimsy. This gives me a little more support for my embroidery, and I didn't want to use the sticky back. So then I would go through here and chalk in my pattern so I can at least see it. Then when I lift this up and bring it to the machine, I would have a guide for where that embroidery is going to go. So let's just pretend that this was a real size sleeve. And by the way, that new hoop with the avenir, you can put an entire sleeve in there. Then I would take this, and this entire area I would chalk it in, and then I would know exactly where to put any designs on my sleeve. Always you want to stay out of the seam allowances if you can. And up here in the shoulder, you don't really want it going right to the top. So I usually start an inch, at least an inch away from this seam up here. All right, any questions for me? Any questions? Hey, Cindy, great to see you. Celeste, you never fall asleep on me. That's a good thing. All right, so I shared what stabilizer I use. I shared what needles I use. The only other thing with a sweater knit is sometimes I will use that clear tear away, wash away on top. Let me see if I can find a piece to show you what it looks like. Hey, Jill. I don't have any over here. I'm looking. I found another stabilizer that I do use sometimes on knits, the fusible no-show. This is the white one. So you press this in place, and then once you're finished embroidering, it kind of peels off a little bit and you trim it away. The only thing I don't like about the fusible with the knit is if you press too much, you're going to get a impression on your fabric. That's why I like the wash away, sticky back or tear away. I mean sticky back or just the wash away. You know what? I don't have any of that. So you just have to use your imagination. It's just a clear sheet. It almost looks like paper. And then you tear it away, and when you spray a little water on it, it disappears. All right. That is your lesson for the day, because I know a lot of people are getting ready for Easter. I talked to some friends. They said, we're cooking all day. I was like, oh, good for you. I'm sewing all day. And then I'm making some little gifts. Yeah, that's on my list for today. I'll let you know how that goes. Hey, Lorraine, great to see you. Hey, Chris, what do you got for me? Will the 6 needle, that sleeve attachment part, work on a sleeve or cuff? That's a good question. I've not used the sleeve attachment. How big is it? I've seen the leg, it's not a leg attachment. I've seen the one for pants, like the long attachment that you could slide your jeans on, which is amazing. But I have not seen the sleeve one. So I have to look that up. I'll find out and let you know next week. Actually, tomorrow we have a live show on Brother. I'll try to check before then. Yep, that's it, Lisa. It's like thick plastic wrap, but thinner than wax paper. Trudy, you're making pants for your husband for Easter? You go, girl. I have a huge roll. I bought a monstrous roll from Waywack or Wawak, however you say that. All right, let me go look. Hold on. I got to go check because I think it's over here. Over in my stash. I bought a big roll because I kept losing it. So let me just keep looking here for a moment. Nope. Oh my gosh, I found it. Ay. I have some on my website too, and which is a little different than this because it comes in smaller. Okay, here it is. I found it. And if anybody's looking for embroidery, anything this week, don't forget, I sent a newsletter out 2 days ago or yesterday. I don't know, one day this week, that offered a discount for the embroidery trays and anything embroidery. So, but this is it. I'll bring myself up here without. It does. It's like, I mean, if I lick it, it'll disappear. I'm not doing that. I'm not licking it, but it will. It's just water. It like wash away. So this is how this would work. I would cut a piece to go on top of here. And then sometimes I'll just put a couple pieces of tape to hold it in place. This just gives a little buffer, especially with fabric that has some nubs in it or this rib knit. That way when you embroider, all this disappears. But it gives you that little extra so your thread doesn't get embedded in the sweater. I hope that made sense. Maybe. I put it where you're so right, Peg. I totally forgot. Hey, Audrey. I'm still live. It's not the replay yet. It's a topper. Yeah, it's also called a topper. Water-soluble topper. And I've seen people that will use a full piece of stabilizer for that topper. That's too much. It's just a clear piece that keeps that fabric, your thread, from getting in that fabric and embedding. I know. So if you enjoyed Pajama Day, I sure have. It's been nice to see you guys today too. So quick note, we just had Fashion Sewing Club yesterday. Super fun. We were on Zoom. We've got a lot more fun projects coming up. The wrap top is one of my favorites. Pajama shirt will probably be not on there because this was last year, and I'm sure I can find it somewhere else. Yeah, there you go, Janelle. Get the big roll. The big roll. Yeah. I have small rolls here that are in tubes, but the big roll you'll use. D, are the patterns available? What patterns? The patterns for, let me know. I have all the PDF patterns are on. So tell me which one you're looking for. Deb. Oh, hey, Deb. Haven't seen you in a while. Where's the tutorial for the large collars? In the Fashion Sewing Club. There's tutorials for the large collars. I don't know what would be listed under, so you'd have to search probably ruche T. Oh, so D, this is my Delilah pattern, but not this big. So the Delilah pattern actually has a seam outside the sides, which makes it much more fitted and a little slimmer. This, I just made it into a huge comfy sleeve. Great to see you, Jenny. Oh, Audrey says, keep that roll covered because moisture will affect the topper. Yes, it will. And if you're sweaty, not that I was sweaty, but I was working in the office, putting stuff away, cleaning up, running all over, and my hands were all sweaty, and I touched it, and guess what? One of my rolls has like 10 holes in it from a sweaty hand. So don't do that either. Don't go out and mow your lawn and then come in and use that. It doesn't work. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, so D, this is the Delilah. It's in PDF. I don't know if there's paper version available right now, but you can check. Hey, Rose. Nice to see you. Oh, Peg, you're going to make them all. Make all your own clothes. Yes, definitely. All right. Well, I'm wishing you all a very blessed Easter. I hope you have a good week. Today's Wednesday. I'm still working tomorrow. A Brother live show at noon tomorrow. Lynn Lily's going to be on. She's so much fun. She loves pink more than I do. I didn't know that was possible, but it is. And she's going to be showing some last minute Easter decorations and gifts. I think you're not going to want to miss it. I think she's doing tea towels and t-shirts, something like that. Yeah. Oh, Helen, that's a good idea. In the Tupperware container. In all the plastic Tupperware that nobody's using anymore. What a great place for our stabilizer. Yes, I didn't want to throw that stuff out. So now I have, brilliant, Helen, brilliant. All right, happy Easter, everyone. Have a great day. You know where to find me. And be sure to visit Angela Wolf. Join our Fashion Sewing Club if you like sewing fashion, because we'd love to have you. Until next time, happy sewing. Bye.